Thanks. So in terms of when we reflect on the media coverage in terms of faith-based stories, for example, how do we see that representing what some of those community attitudes are, and what effect does that have in terms of the faith-based communities, in terms of their overall relationships with media organisations?
What do you refer to, like community attitudes?
In terms of those faith-based communities, how they see themselves represented in mainstream media.
Well, I think mainstream media is focused on large groups, so they're not generally particularly aware of minority groups. So, minority groups like Buddhist communities are generally not visible to the mainstream media, and also we don't get asked for our opinion on anything. And we're not offering it, so so we sort of glide past each other, I think.
Why do you think that is, though? Can I ask the question? Why?
Well, I don't know that the mainstream media is particularly aware that they could ask us a question, or that we might have a reflection on a topic. I think the Buddhist community could reflect usefully on issues like human rights and refugees and social justice. I think we'd all have a lot to say, but probably there's a lot of people with a lot to say, so maybe we just get lost in the noise.
Just obviously I'm reflecting on the Muslim community. A recent study found that 80%, it was a US-based study that covered the UK, US, Canada and Australia, I believe, and it found that Muslims are covered 80% of the time in news articles in a negative way. With other religions, it's kind of 50-50, so if there's a bad story, there might be a good story, but with us, it's 80% negative. So I think it kind of defeats the monster. Like, people hear about how awful Muslims are, and then then we shut off. We just don't want to engage. How many times I've heard, just don't talk to the media, just don't engage with them. They're going to take it out of context. They're going to feed you to the walls. The rest of that kind of that dialogue. So there's statistics there. It's maths. What's happening? There isn't a unbiased representation of Muslim people. Yeah.
When it comes to the media, as Mark Twain pointed out, you've got two choices. You can not read the media and be uninformed, or you can read the media and be misinformed. That unfortunately is particularly true, I think, when it comes to religion. Many young journalists today, and older ones, are very uncomfortable with religion, mainly because they know that it's a banana skin. They know that it's so easy to cause offence. They don't intend to do so necessarily, but there are lots of sensitivities, lots of internal and external conflicts, and it's just a difficult subject to cover. So I think that the lack of expertise and the lack of confidence is a factor in that. Just talking about what you said, Huda, when I began writing about religion, you have to learn as you go. I knew 3 Muslims. When I left, I knew several hundred. And when I started, everybody went to Sheikh Al-Ali for comment, because they knew that they'd get something ferocious, bellicose, something that would be more likely on page 1 than on page 11. And it was Walid Ali, in fact, who told me he doesn't speak for Melbourne. He doesn't even speak for most Sydney Muslims. And so I made a particular point of trying to broaden my sources, which is where I first came across the Australian Cultural Society and Orhan Cicek, who was the leader at the time. So there are problems, but there are also solutions.